today we are going to be talking about introducing guinea pigs. So there's going to be a lot of things that you need to do, such as research and prepare, as well as actual introduction. It can be quite a process, but it's not as bad as if you actually know what you're doing. Now, the first step you're going to need to do is research. You're going to need to know all of the dominance behaviors and how everything works and the social dynamics of guinea pig herds. The next thing you're going to need is 2 guinea pigs, and you're going to want to be 100% sure of the sex. You cannot just depend on pet stores to give you the correct sex of a guinea pig. If you don't know how to sex a guinea pig yourself, there's lots of online websites and videos that can show you how to do it. But if you're still unsure, then you should probably just bring them to a rescue and ask them to sex them themselves. Rescues should be more than happy to help you figure out what kind of gender your guinea pig is. The next thing you're going to want to do is have a 2-week quarantine period. This is definitely something you need to do because some guinea pigs are prey animals and they will hide any illnesses for a long amount of time. So if they could be potentially ill when you originally get them, despite maybe looking happy and healthy. But that 2-week quarantine period should show any diseases or anything like that, or injuries that could show up. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure that there are no potential litters. So I am introducing here my male Chester and my 2 females, Mara and Mookie. Chester has been neutered for approximately 30 days or so. So he's absolutely free of sperm. You're going to want to wait a minimum of 3 weeks to 30 days to make sure that any live sperm is gone. So there is absolutely no chance that Chester can impregnate my females. So once you're 100% sure that all of your guinea pigs are happy, healthy, and free of any potential litters, you're going to want to prepare the space that they're going to be living in. By doing this, you basically want to make sure that the size cage you have for all 2 or 3 or however many pigs you have is the recommended amount. The recommended amount for 2 pigs is a 2x4 C&C cage, and the recommended amount for 5 is a 2x5. I currently have them going to be set up in a 2x5 with a 1x2 loft. The next thing you're going to want to do is you want to start getting them to know each other a little bit. To do this, I gave my pigs playtime through the bars under strict supervision, just in case one of them decided to maybe climb the bars or escape or get into the other pig's pen. So you're going to want to introduce them through the bars a lot, offer them veggies together at the same time, and even put the cages next to each other. I find this was really helpful in the process to kind of get a feel of how they would all get along. So once you do all of that, you can start preparing the introduction. There's lots of different ways that you can introduce guinea pigs, but I think the best and ultimate way to do it is to get a very large neutral space. As you guys see here, they're on a very large piece of fleece with over a 2x6 amount of floor space. All of the grids are cleaned, and that fleece is brand spanking new. I washed it 3 times just so that it would wick, but other than that, it's completely new and it has none of their scents on it. Also, you guys see I have a large pile of hay, and there was a large pile of veggies there. This just gets them bonding over food and gives them something to do instead of totally focusing on who's going to be the dominant pig. Now, some really good pairs of guinea pigs that tend to work out are 2 babies that will get along really great. They tend to stick to each other very quickly. You just want to make sure that when they do hit maturity that they aren't going to fall out, but you do need to be careful of that if you are introducing 2 very young pigs. Another situation of pigs that you can group together is an adult with a baby of the same sex pair. This tends to also work out very, very well, as the adult tends to be the immediate and by default dominant pig, and the baby tends to be submissive. 2 adults of the same gender are really good. Mainly females tend to be a bit easier, though it is a myth that 2 male pigs cannot get along. There have been many, many pairs and or herds of males that can tend to get along. The reason it's a bit more tricky is just because in the wild there's usually 1 male, a few adult females, and then a lot of babies. So naturally it's kind of odd for 2 men to get along, though it is possible. It's just a bit more tricky with personalities and such. And then another really easy pairing tends to be a male with 1 or 2 or more females. That also tends to be about the same difficulty level as 2 adult females. Having them in this setup is not going to guarantee that they are going to get along for the rest of their life, and they may potentially fall out at a later date. Doing these things and making sure that everything is neutral is just going to guarantee not guarantee, but it's going to help influence the process of them getting to know each other so that it's more likely that they're to get on. Some things that you're going to want to watch out for, as well as research, they're going to have lots of dominance behaviors, such as mounting every which way. They're going to be rumble strutting, which is where they purr and move their butt from side to side. There's going to be chasing, bum sniffing, sniffing of all sorts. There may be potential nipping. There will be something called nose-offs, where they both try to put who's ever nose higher in the air, and whoever's nose is higher tends to win. There's, again, like I said, chasing, circling, things like that. Some things you're going to want to watch out for is yawning in a position where they look like they could potentially fight. You're also going to watch out for constant teeth chattering, things like that. Hair pulling out is also a potential thing that can happen. You're going to want to look up all of these things out, and I will put some links down below that will help you find a lot of this information. So the biggest thing about introducing is that a lot of new people introducing tend to forget is the biggest thing is you cannot take them apart unless the blood is drawn, which is very, very hard to see your baby guinea pig or your precious little ones getting into a fight, but you cannot separate unless blood is drawn. If you do see hair pulled out, though, you may want to do a once-over over all the pigs just to make sure that there isn't any skin attached and that there's no blood. Also, while the pigs are in the playpen, you should not interact with them. You should be quietly off to the side in a very quiet environment, and you should have a towel or cardboard or something that can divide them if they do get into a fight, because you're not going to want to put your hands into the cage while they're fighting. You're going to definitely want to be wary of that because they will potentially bite you. So definitely have a towel that you can throw over them. When they fight, if they do, or if they're drawing blood, you should definitely throw a towel over them, pick up one of the pigs through the towel so that you don't get bit, and it will also temporarily confuse them during the fight. Another really quick thing I'm going to mention here is that I have no toys in the playpen, and that is just because that way there's no territorial disputes, which is the #1 reason that pigs will fall out. I do have 3 water bottles set up just because they are going to be in this playpen for quite a long time, but I do have them evenly spread out, and I have one for each pig. Now, a thing that I've had trouble with when I first did my introductions with my 2 girls was how long you do this introduction for. Basically, this introduction can take a long time, and you're going to need a lot of time to dedicate to watching them in the playpen and then watching them in the cage when they're finished. Basically, the amount of time varies between every introduction that you do. And basically, for introductions, you want to make sure everyone's laying down calm. They've figured out who's boss. There's a hierarchy, and that everyone's just relaxed, laying down and sleeping and things like that. Boredom and getting, as you can probably see here, Chester has been bar biting, which just means that he's getting bored of being in this playpen. It's just a little tendency he has. So basically, once they're all laying down and relaxed and calm, you should wait anywhere from a half an hour to an hour and a half just to make sure that everything's set. And then once everything's settled down, you can feel free to put them in the cage. When they first go in the cage, they're going to be exploring and wiping their bum everywhere to get their scent on everything, and they're going to be kind of just running around and checking things out. But after a while, there may be some territorial disputes over some of the objects. For example, Chester is absolutely fond of his cuddle cup, and he really doesn't like anyone else coming near it. He can have it, but no one else can in his mind. So you're just going to want to make sure there's enough stuff for everyone. In this cage here, you can actually see I have 3 cuddle cups, or 3 cuddle items, as well as a tunnel. But I actually ended up taking the tunnel out and adding 2 more plastic hides, just so that they all have more than enough objects to claim. And you also are going to want to spread any food or water out evenly. I actually ended up taking the loft down maybe 5 hours after I put them in the cage, and put 2 litter boxes with hay on either end of the cage. That way that no one can get possibly bullied. That's another really big thing, that once you get them in the cage, you have to keep an eye on that everyone's eating and drinking, because sometimes the dominant pig won't let the more submissive pig eat or drink, which is also another reason that you would be allowed to separate. But unless they're bullied to the point of not being able to eat or drink, or their blood is drawn again, you really can't just separate them. Now, the biggest thing I'm just going to remind you guys of is that you really need to take this into perspective of the pigs. You can't just throw a pig into their cage. That's their territory. That's a totally, it's kind of like having your parents be like, oh, here's a new person, live with them, share all of your items with them, and don't fight. It's going to be kind of difficult. So again, just think of it from their perspective. Do things slowly and do a lot of research as much as you can on this topic for the more smooth introduction. I really don't recommend like buddy baths or anything like that. I honestly think just doing one big introduction in a neutral terry is best. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope I covered everything. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to leave those down below. If you have any questions specified to introducing your pigs, that's also a really great option. And if you want to avoid the whole introduction process altogether, adopting a bonded pair from a rescue is always an option. There's lots and lots of rescues with bonded pairs. My rescue has bonded pairs very often as well. So looking online and just taking a look around, you should be able to find bonded pairs if you just want to totally avoid this process altogether. And I don't blame you because it's a lot of work. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and enjoy some of the leftover footage of the pigs just running around happily in their cage because it's pretty cute. So thank you guys so much for sticking with us. I know this has been a rather long video, but again, questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to leave those down below. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys are curious, the introductions were a great success, as you guys can see, and it worked out really, really great. So yeah, see you guys.